Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose. Serving others and, yes, achieving success. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Yes, your world. Let's start there and we'll change the bigger world together. And as you listen to this incredible guest I have today, and you're going to be blown away by this guy, how will you serve today? Yeah, do it today. Let's not wait till tomorrow. Let's not think about the past, but how are you going to serve today? And what impact are you going to make with that service? If you want to reach out and let me know, send me a message and we'll talk about it. I want to thank my sponsor, pitchdb.com. Be a guest in over 3 million podcasts, speak at over 11,000 conferences, and much, much more. Build your thought leader platform with incredible opportunity to show who you really are. With that being said, as we say impact, my guest today has made a lot of impact at a very young age, and he's going to educate you, he's going to inspire, he's going to motivate you. So get your pad and paper out. Let's go. Ty, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. I'm happy to be here.
Well, what I'm interested to learn about, that a lot of people talk about, balance between life and personal. I mean, a business and personal, or a business and life. They affect each other one way or the other. What's your answer to that?
You know, that concept has been an evolutionary process for me. When I started my career, I started working for American Airlines. And for me, you know, you had clear times you had to be at work, and then you had clear times you didn't have to be at work. But working with the airlines with travel benefits and stuff like that, you always made sure that, you know, you'd enjoy your time off. And then I got into school, and then I got into working a second job. And I always had this dynamic where I felt like there was work and then there was life. And then I became an entrepreneur. And in an entrepreneur's mind, you're always working. There's no on and off switch. Like, you got to be able to take a call when you're starting a business and growing a business. And you got to find moments in between your downtime to have life. And I would say that is what has stuck with me. So my answer to balancing work and life is there's no start and stop. There's no 8 to 5 and then 5 to 8. What work and life balance for me is making sure that you're conscious of your mental health, your physical health, and your social health, so your relationships, and building that in consciously and intentionally into your day as you're going about your work. Work has to be done. You have goals, you have things to achieve, you have budgets, etc. So you know what you have to do. But I think where people go wrong is they don't make intentionality around life. They don't set goals. They don't have budgets. They don't focus on the things that they need to do to advance their personal pleasures, their interest. And so that usually ends up falling by the wayside, as opposed to work, which never falls by the wayside. It always gets done. So my solution to work and life balance is I set myself every year a CEO scorecard for my personal objectives that I want to get done. So personal development, physical goals that I want to achieve, mental health goals, and bucket list items. I set them all. And just like a business, every quarter I review, what did I do? What did I not do? What do I need to change? What can I get done? And I treat myself like a business. I did a presentation once to clients on You Inc., right? So you as a corporation, incorporated, how would you grow that corporation, develop that corporation, and get an ROI for that corporation over the course of the year? And so I treat myself like a corporation, and I balance it in with the work that I do and make sure that they're both getting done.
Awareness is such a big thing that you just said. because there's no balance. It's never going to be 50-50. You know, CEO is going to get divorced or is going through a divorce. It's going to affect his business. Just,
Yep.
you're such beautifully said, Ty. It's just the balance and working it. And by the way, CEO scorecard, that's $1 million tip, audience. Just start doing that. And yeah, I mean, it's huge. I'm going to start doing it myself. Well, tell me, Ty, what's your superpower and how do you influence that into your business?
You know, it's interesting because I have a unique ability. You know, I'm a fan of StrengthsFinder, right? When I became a coach, I became a performance-based coach with Gallup. I studied the StrengthsFinder model, and I started coaching people on how to develop their inner strengths. And I know what my strengths are, but my leading strength that I lead with is a strength called significance. And significance in the StrengthsFinder model is, you know, somebody who wants to be recognized for their accomplishments, somebody who, you know, wants to make sure that they're leaving a legacy. And it was always seen sometimes as a negative. I was, oh, that's the guy who puts his name on the building or whose name is on, you know, all of his businesses. But I've been able to look at it as an opportunity to make sure everything that I do has to be great. It has to be reflective of quality, of something that people would want to recognize and something that I can stand behind. And in so doing, my superpower has become sort of making sure that whenever I interact and engage, whether it's a client, a customer, a relationship, that I'm always putting my best foot forward, that I'm always coming from the person's perspective so that I leave a lasting impression on them. And one of the cases that this to exemplify this is I'm an introvert, right? I could stay home for days at a time, but there are moments where I want to go out. And in business, because I'm you know, the work that I'm doing, I'm interacting with the public a lot. I'm interacting with folks. I have clients, I have speaking gigs, I have podcasts. And so as I interact with folks, you know, there are times that I'm like, okay, I've just done like 3 or 4 hours of peopling. I need to introvert myself now. But you will never know. And nobody, every time I say I'm an introvert, people say, you know, you're not. Because when I'm extroverting, when I'm with people, I'm putting my best foot forward. I'm showcasing my best self. I'm giving you everything that you need to succeed, everything that I want you to remember me from and by. And I make sure that that lasts more than how I feel as an introvert. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And I tell people all the time, I'm the same thing. I'm dealing with people all the time virtually. I'm a construction guy. I'm a plumber, man. That's tiring. Mental tiredness is just as powerful, just as debilitating as that. Nothing wrong with that either, because that is work. But I love that you said it, because to tell you what, I could stay at home, and I do on Fridays, and watch documentaries by myself. My wife's working, and I'm super happy. But people see me and, you know, doing all this, and like you, we're brother of kin. We're kin of brothers. So with your coaching, do you have a client story that shows your superpower?
A client story that shows my superpower. Well, you know, here's the thing. We're in this phase right now where we're growing, right? So the Advanced Innovation Society is a community of entrepreneurs, and we bring people in and we give them a safe space by which we want them to grow and develop, and we want them to, you know, not feel tied to a start and a stop in a program, but rather experience each other, experience community, sort of get what they need when they need it, and be able to leave everything alone if they don't. And we're in this evolutionary phase where we're adding chapters around the world. We're adding new cities. And one particular story I have is I have this one client, one member of the community who is just dynamic. And it's really, really somebody who takes on board every bit of feedback, maximizes relationships, really connects with everybody in the community. And as we started the community, we revamped the community last year, and we changed the focus, and now we're growing the community. And as we grow the community, the level of entrepreneurs growing as well, right? So we would have onboarded people before who were just about in their growth phase. Over the past few months, we've seen where there's a greater demand for us to get to people in their scale phase. So we went from having 250 to 500 as the entry level income, and then we went from 500 to $1 million as the new entry level for income, and eventually we'll have to get 1 million and above for the next level of income earners. But we have this one person who started from the beginning, and has just learned. And as we grow the income level, she's grown her income level. She has been able to take the feedback, because what she's doing is she's not just learning from the people in the community, she's watching us. She's mirroring how I'm growing the community and how I'm growing the network, how I'm changing the messaging, how I'm redesigning the suite, the product suite, and she's mimicking all of that. And so her value, the value of her client has increased, the value of her network has increased, her revenue, obviously, as a byproduct, has increased. And so she's growing as we're growing. And it's just amazing to watch somebody. You don't have to tell, this is what you do next. They can organically see it and then, apply it to their business. And I think that that's a true success story.
It's coachable. Mm-hmm. Coachable is such a powerful skill set that people don't realize. It's mindset, but it is skill. You got to learn to listen and, of course, take action.
You also have to want to do it.
Yeah, that's the big part too. Absolutely. So you're part of this incredible network group. I want to ask, what's your definition of your network is your net worth?
So I think that there's a nuance that's missing there, right? And it's intentionality. Because as you go from corporate into entrepreneurship, because I did it, and you start off in entrepreneurship, you don't have the $1 million earners in your network, right? You do have people you've met, people who you build relationships. I often tell people, there was this old saying, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. That's not the case. It's not who you know, it's not who knows you, it's who likes you, because nobody's going to pick up the phone or reply to your LinkedIn message or add you as a contact if they don't like you. They're not going to do anything for you. Yeah, it's great to have all these followers, but how many of them can you truly say, I need you to promote this for me, I need you to introduce me to a referral? People will only do that if they feel like they have a relationship with you and they like you. So people who have a network of a whole bunch of people because they're influencers, or a whole bunch of clients that they may have had an interaction with one or the other, that's great, that's fantastic, but it doesn't mean that that network is accessible to you. And therefore, it is not reflective of your net worth. Your network and your net worth has to be intentional. And I say intentional in two ways. One, you can have a very small net worth and a very expensive or highly valued net worth. If everybody in that network, you curate, you build relationships with, you tap into, you add value, you're intentional with. You can have a small network and an impressive net worth if those people are your next level of folks, the people that you're tapping into to say, hey, I'd like to get to your level. Can I meet with you? Can I be mentored by you? Can I learn from you? Can I give you some of my value so you give me some of yours? You can aspire to a greater net worth as you increase to that, as you increase your network. So I think getting comfortable with your network is your net worth is a little bit simple. I think your network can be your net worth, but you have to be intentional about your network and make sure it's reflective of the net worth you want.
Yeah, it's a general statement, and I love how you expanded upon it, because I call it network on steroids, and I won't talk about me. Everybody knows my story, how fast this thing has grown because of my network. And I had a large network before, but I wasn't making money. But now I've got a high quality network and very successful network. So I'm living what you're saying. So you call yourself an introvert, which I agree with people saying I don't understand, but I understand when the doors are closed, the camera's off, it's a whole different tie. But migrating to the US, talk about that. But is that part of the reason you might be an introvert as well?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the origins of it. I do know that my passion for that significance that I mentioned has started from being in the US. I'm a huge, being in Trinidad, I'm a huge believer of manifestation. I'm a huge believer of deciding you want something and letting nothing stop you to get it, because you can get anything that you set your mind to if you really are focused and intentional about it. Because I've done it ever since I was 16. I manifested my exam results because I hated the tests that I was doing, and I didn't want to go to school and get those. But I printed a copy of my certificate, what it would look like. I pasted it on my bed and I watched it for 6 months. And Steve, every single certificate result that I got came exactly as I printed it on that certificate. Verbatim. And everything I did since then in my life has been a product of me believing that I want something bad enough to realize that I can get it. I own it. It's mine to get. And I think leaving Trinidad and migrating to the US, I had so many things that I wanted to do. Looking back on it now, I wanted to. I told my mom when I was looking for my first job, I only ever wanted to work for a bank or an airline, because in Trinidad those were prestigious jobs. My first job in American Airlines at the age of in Trinidad at the age of 17 was a job with American Airlines. There was one position, 200 applicants. I somehow landed the only job at American Airlines. And then 3 years later, after migrating to the US, my first management job with American Airlines, I was the bank manager for their credit union. So I manifested an airline and a banking job in my career. And everything since then has been a manifestation. Leaving Trinidad, my family was comfortable. We weren't anything, we weren't poor. I wasn't disadvantaged in any way. I had a happy life. But coming to the US, we started from scratch. We had to build credit, buy everything cash. We were first-time immigrants in the United States. But it is true what they say. You can do anything you want. America is the land of the dreams, the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's absolutely, you can be anything you want to be in America. Because 3 years after migrating here, we bought a house. We bought a massive house that we sold later on for double the price. We have successful careers. The entire family blossomed, the entire family bloomed. And if we could do that in the space of 3 years of coming to America, working hard, 2 jobs at sometimes, but working hard and being serious about success, I think that anyone can do it. Anybody who's born here, anybody who's coming here, anyone can do it. They just have to be intentional about it. So my journey to the US was a fulfillment of the things I manifested before I got here. And it continues to be a path to achieving dreams, both for me and my family.
The great thing about that story, and it's an incredible story, Americans can do that too. You don't have to be outside of this country. That's the thing. I hear all these incredible stories like yours, but there's no reason American can't do it. Born and raised in California and manifest the same thing. And I love that you said that, because we can extrapolate that out to every American out there that's in America growing. What's interesting is with a network, you talked about building relationships, but let's talk about that servant's heart. How do you implement it when you grow your network?
It's about adding value, Steve. It's not about going to somebody and say, "Oh, Steve, what can I get for, what can you do for me?" Or, even intentionally adding value with an expectation in mind. I actually wrote a post on this on my Facebook yesterday, a post on relationships. And one of the things that I love doing is I love going into a networking event, or I love meeting people where I have no clue if this is going to be a fit, if this is going to be a relationship, because inevitably, and I believe this wholeheartedly, again, because of the manifestation thing, I think the universe gives you people or circumstances or opportunities that you don't yet see, but 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, it will come to life. It will manifest. So to go in and ask somebody, what can you do for me? Or to go in and give value with an expectation of getting value right back, I think is the wrong approach. I think if you have a gift, if you have something that you're really good at, something that you're passionate about, a resource, a gift, an opportunity, a skill set, and you see an opportunity to deliver that for somebody, you do it. You do it every time, all the time. Now, you don't drain yourself. You don't do it to the point where you're investing hours into giving somebody building their business, right? As somebody who's a business strategist, I can't meet everybody I meet down the street and pour hours into their business for the first time for the sake of giving. But it doesn't hurt me to give advice, to point them in a direction, to pivot them slightly, to give them a correction. Like, that doesn't hurt. And to say thank you when I'm done, or you're welcome when I'm done, and walk away, not ever expecting them to be able to do anything for me. I think just living your life where you can continuously fill other people's bucket, where you can continuously just give some bit of knowledge, experience, context that you've experienced that'll help somebody just an inch, just a degree, just a needle. That is servant leadership. And I think the universe may not send you that person back, but might give you somebody even more perfectly positioned for what you need when you need it.
Speaking my language, that's why we connected. That's why you're on this show. You have the servant's heart. Here's the question I get all the time. I'd love to get an answer from you. So I'm building my network, I'm building relationships, but I've got somebody that I cannot build a relationship with, or is just not a fit for my network. How do you handle that?
If you've identified, you've tried and it's not a fit, whatever personality or otherwise, or the person just isn't a fit, I still like to leave that person with some bit of nugget of value, right? And it may be an introduction to a different community. It might be an introduction to a different coach. It might be an introduction to a different resource. But I want to give them something because going back to my significance, I want to make sure that their interaction with me leaves a positive, lasting impression. And so if I can't help you, if we're not aligned, I want you still to be successful in your own right, because you're going to be able to help somebody else, and that person's going to benefit from you. It doesn't have to be me. So if I can leave you with just a little bit nugget, just something that makes you a little better than you were before we met, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to walk away. And then if we come back together in a few years, if we never come back together but somebody else benefits, that was me in the universal order giving you what you needed to help somebody else.
That's the easiest way to handle that, and the safest, and the ability, because nobody wants to say no to people. Sure. We have to. A servant has to do that. Yeah. And you just described that well. We're coming to the end here. What's one last tip for people about network and what you're an expert in, your superpower that you want to leave with the audience?
Intentionality. Do not let life live you. You have to live life. And so everything you do, you have to be focused on what is my intention? What intention do I want to set? Right? It's your day, it's your week, it's your business, it's your life, it's your mental health, it's your physical health. What is the intention? That if you can be a little bit more directional and intentional in everything that you do, life will be a lot easier and better. A lot of us live life having circumstances thrown at us, or figuring out, or not understanding, what do we do? We're so lost. You're never lost, right? You might be in a temporary state of uncertainty, but if you decide that that's what you're in, and you set an intention to get clarity, or you set an intention to pivot, you'll go back on the path you need to be back on for success. So focus on, don't let life live you in whatever you do. Just be intentional.
That's a great tip. Super easy, but hard to take action. A lot of this stuff is easy to do, but when it's time to pull the trigger, that's where what something meets the road. The rubber meets the road. I love that. So I know you have a masterclass next Monday. Today's the 13th or the 6th. On the 13th, you have a masterclass.
Yeah, we're actually, it starts on the 14th. We're hosting a masterclass on giving people those resources to become a center of influence in their local market and tap into a blue ocean of premium buyers that they haven't tapped into. This originated because we identified that a lot of the digital business owners and leaders do not tap into the real life folks, the brick and mortars. And a lot of the brick and mortars don't have time, or perceive that they don't have time, to explore the digital space. I know $1 million earners in the brick and mortar space who do not touch social media. I also know digital entrepreneurs who will not go to a networking event. And these two worlds do not often combine. And we believe that is the secret to success in this market, where we see a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of businesses struggling with buyers taking longer to decide. A lot of people are uncertain about things that are taking place in the economy, the election, the war. All of these things are happening. Like, it is causing a lot of delayed experiences, delayed purchases in the market. So it's time for people to look into other markets that they wouldn't have ordinarily looked into for their business, and explore those. So that's the masterclass we're hosting starting on Tuesday of next week. It's online, so it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday online, and then on the Friday, we're hosting in-person events in 12 cities around the world for people to come and meet in person.
Oh, nice. So May 14th, and what time is it going to start?
It starts at 12 noon on May 14th.
Okay, that's Eastern specific. I know the time.
Sorry, 12 noon Eastern.
Right. No, that's all right. It's I forget it all the time. We're brothers from the sun, another mother. I do it all the time. I know everybody out there's laughing. They'll probably do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Well, Ty, I really thank you for being on. How can people reach out to you?
So on Instagram, I'm Dr. So Dr.Tyrich, and then on LinkedIn, it's DRTY Rich as well. So LinkedIn is best. Connect with me on LinkedIn. And then, feel free to, my email address is ty@theadvancedsociety.com.
If you want to be a better servant, have a servant's heart, be a better networker, be able to grow. We're in the people asset business. I don't care what you do out there. That's what Ty's been talking about. Build your people assets. just like assets and money, it compounds. The more you meet, the better. And then you can weed through those. And as me and him have done, we've grown this incredible network. Use the forward and reverse buttons on the podcast platform you're on or YouTube. I talk about this, and Kai might be a little young. We used to have these DVR tape decks that we put in, DVS, VHS. I always see, I'm 62, I should remember that. It had the same button, but you had to physically push it. Here, it's right on your computer screen. Take 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes of this, or 5 minutes. If it resonates with you, he's talked about a lot of things here. The CEO scorecard. Listen to it over and over again, what he's talking about. Me and Ty would love for you to watch this whole show or listen to the whole show. But if 5 minutes changes your life, we are going to be so happy. That's the goal here. But the point is, go over the show and learn, and then reach out to Ty and learn more, and maybe become part of this wonderful network that he's building. Don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. So I got the time zone, I had to remember. Don't forget putting on your head or your chest. Wear a hoodie, wear a t-shirt, wear a hat that says doing business with a servant's heart. Let's spread that message out. 25 minutes today, we got Ty talking about that and how successful he is. You do the same. Let's share this message together, and let's grow this world into a servant heart. And as always, me and Ty, thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.